You're listening to Coast AM. Connie Willis here. I hope that you will find me at my show at conniewillis.com. I do a couple of them. One of them is called Connie After Dark, and that is a live virtual bar. You can have a drink with me or don't have a drink. That's up to you. It's all fine. It's all good. What happens there stays there. It's never to be heard again unless court ordered. And then there's also Blue Rock Talk, where you become a Blue Rocker. We go on live investigations of Bigfoot, hauntings, strange lights. In fact, soon we'll be hitting the Stanley Hotel, Bradshaw Ranch. Anyway, some other surprises along the way. I hope that you would like to. You go there virtually yourself, and we have these great Blue Rockers in the live chat, and they're all in it with their intuition and telling me what's going on while I'm out there, whether it's good or bad, or run from the left because they're on the right, whatever, something like that. But it's a lot of fun. Friendships forever, for sure. And you can sign up for the newsletter. And there's other things out there, too. So go to conniewillis.com, learn more about me, and let's learn more about you with open lines. Grab some phone calls here and see what you guys got to say. Tell me what you're seeing out there. Tell me what you're experiencing. Tell me, I don't know, something new, something some new entity you may have seen along the way. I know that there's a lot that people see, and more people are seeing more and more things. But have you seen something different than anybody else? That's always fun, to just get out there in the universe, out there for other people to hear, because they may confirm that they've seen the same kind of thing. So that's definitely how it works, and makes you feel better too, that you're not the only one that saw that creepy thing that maybe you saw. So let's go east of the Rockies, talk to Tommy first. Miami Beach. All right, Miami. Hey there, Tommy. You're on the air. Welcome to Open Lines here.
Hello, how are you, Connie?
I'm good. How are you?
Much better now that I get a chance to speak to you and get this off my chest.
Oh, okay.
Just before the pandemic, in 2019, I saw something very unusual. Okay, let me first explain my location. I live right next door to a very popular night spot. During the day, it's a gourmet taco joint. But at night, it's a dance club. Two clubs, actually, one on the ground level and one on the second level. So the only parking is on my street. And there's always people coming and going, getting out of their cars or going to their cars to leave. And also there's always people riding their bikes, walking their dogs, even late at night, and especially on the weekends. I came out of my apartment to get a breath of fresh air. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And the first thing I noticed was there was no sound. It was completely silent. There were no birds. There were no insects. And most of all, there were no people anywhere. Now, I live 1 block away from a main street called Alton Road. There's always traffic. There was nothing at all happening. And I couldn't believe it. You know, on a Saturday night at 2 in the morning, it's always busy. So I walk out into the street, and I'm looking for any sign of life anywhere. And like I say, it's completely silent. So I look up in the sky right above me, and there's a blimp. Let me describe it to you.
Okay.
The blimp, it was very much like a Chinese or a Japanese lantern, where it's opaque and it's dimly lit from the inside, usually by a candle of some sort. Okay, this was beige and brown and gold. And like I said, it was dimly lit from the inside. There was a tether line on the front, but it was taut. So it wasn't loosely hanging like a rope dangling. It was taut, but you couldn't see, like, I would say 40 to 50 feet. All of a sudden, you couldn't see the rope anymore, but you could tell it was still there because of the tightness. And I'm staring at the blimp, and then all of a sudden, it disappears. What I mean by disappears is it goes dark in the sky. Now, there was no moon, so the sky was very dark. But where the blimp had just been, it was darker than the night sky. A few seconds later, it reappears, but not as the blimp. So what was happening was this object in the sky was metamorphosing. It was changing shape like a shapeshifter from one shape to the next, because when I saw it again, it was like a tilt-a-whirl. You know what a tilt-a-whirl is at the carnival? Where
oh, yeah.
It was like that, but like bright neon lights of every color in the rainbow, and also all sorts of what's the word for it? Off colors like chartreuse and the like. So you had all these pretty fancy lights, and it was twirling around, but it was in one spot. It wasn't moving in the sky. It was just twirling on a tilt. And then that disappeared. And a few seconds later, the blimp came back. So it was going from one shape to the next. I'm looking around to see if there's anybody who's seeing what I'm seeing. And like I said, I was totally alone. There was nobody there. I'm thinking that this was some sort of premonition of what was yet to come, because this was, like I said, right before the pandemic struck around the world.
Now, how long? Okay. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead, finish. Okay.
I was going to say that this happened back and forth for about 2, 3, 4 minutes. I can't really tell you the exact time, because it was like time was suspended. And after it had shape-shifted about, I would say, a dozen times, it just flew like a bat out of hell from South Beach into the mainland, like a streak of light, and it was gone in an instant. As soon as that happened, there were people everywhere. There were people on the balconies. There were people riding bikes. There were people walking dogs. There were people coming out of the club and going into the club. It was like they had been there all the time, but they weren't there by the same token.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah. And you're pretty sure it was the same one? You don't think there were two of them? You believe it was one that was changing?
Yeah, it was one item in the sky that was changing from one shape to another, back and forth.
How close was it to you?
Okay, I would imagine it was very big, for one thing. Both of the objects were very big. So I would imagine that it was maybe a half a mile in the sky.
Okay. And how big do you think it was? Like football field size, or half a football field, or?
I would have to say closer to a full football field, because, like I said, the items were gigantic and they weren't close to me.
So what do you think you saw?
I have no idea what that. And also, I was like in a time loop, some sort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this object directly affected my status.
How did it do that?
Well, because otherwise there would have been some sign of life.
So you said that this happened like within 3 to 4 minutes, but when you finally went back inside, are you just talking 5-10 minutes total, or was there more time that passed?
No, 5 to 10 minutes. But you got to remember, where I live, there's a lot of action, especially on Alton Road. There's a McDonald's. There's
Hey, you're where it's all happening. I get you. I lived in Florida. You're exactly where it's happening. No doubt.
Right. It's impossible for there not to be anyone for me to see within that 10 minutes.
One of my favorite movies is Birdcage, and I always think when you're describing it, I'm thinking of the Birdcage big scenes where all the people are walking around with Robin Williams and stuff like that. So let me ask this. So your question is, what did I see? What was that all about?
Yes, indeed. Because I think that I may have been seeing signs of things to come, because once the pandemic hit, we were all locked down and nobody could go anywhere, and the streets were deserted, just like I saw it.
Oh, okay. Well, I was wondering how you connected that. So let me thanks for your question and your story. Thanks for sharing that. Let me answer it. I'll let you listen off air here, but let me that makes sense that you related that to what was about to happen, and everybody was going to be inside and nobody was going to be outside. That makes total sense that you thought that. I can see looking back about that. But I'm going to just throw something else at you, and it'll probably mess you up even more, because I'm going to throw this at you, because this is how I saw it from researching and experiencing exactly the things you're talking about. And it wasn't before the pandemic. But this happens a lot if you are researching strange lights and different things that are in the forest, or just unknown things in general. There are times where there's no sound. There's absolutely no birds, no insects, and you're in a position where you would definitely hear the birds. I mean, those seagulls are just they're just there. They just talk away where you're at, and people galore. But there's been many, many times, and I'll just, from my experience, but also many people that I've interviewed as well, everything just stops. There's just nothing. It's like a vacuum. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything. And you don't even feel a temperature. You're not hot. You're not cold. And it's good to recognize these things along the way when you're in these positions. Recognize, is there a temperature as well? There's nothing, and there's not a pain in your body. You're not hurting. There's no problems. Everything's just fine. It's just like this vacuum. And you described that to me. Now I can see you looking back going, oh yeah, well, the pandemic happened, and maybe you're right. But there's many, many stories of people seeing something similar to you, and other entities and other strange things where nothing is happening, where there should be something happening. So it definitely sounds like you had something occur that would be, unknown, and definitely, I hate the word paranormal. I just hate that word. It just seems to only fit certain parts. But you saw something extraordinary, and you saw something that when a lot of other people see those things, everything else just shuts down. It's like you're in this bubble, And it seems like you were in that. And you got an experience that a lot of people don't get. And I wonder in those bubbles, if you're the only one in that bubble, or if other people are too, just somewhere else, and maybe you don't even get to see that they're privy to that. Or what a lot of people do think that is, if you saw what you saw, some people would absolutely swear up and down that you were taken because just everything you described. Some people say if you see one that close and those things occur, then that's what happened to you. So that's why I was asking you about the different time. But I've heard that plenty of times, what you're talking about, and I understand how you would relate it to that. And maybe, who knows? But I think I think you could have that same experience again, and it wouldn't be that you think you were seeing a vision like that. So great story, sharing that. And you may be right. What do we know? We just learn from each other and keep going from there. Let's see if we can grab another. I don't know if we can get a quick one. I don't think there's ever quick calls on open lines. West of the Rockies, let's talk to Patty out of Washington State. Hey there, Patty. Welcome to Coast AM.
I'll try to make this quick. I'm 80 years old, and about 8 years ago, about 2015.
You said you were going to make this quick, Patty.
I had an experience. I'd always been healthy as a horse, and I started having medical problems like headaches and periods of scrambled vision and tremors inside the back of my neck. And it was weighing real heavy on my mind, and I kept constantly asking God, what is causing this? Because I don't like to go to doctors, but I went, and they wanted me to go to neurosurgeon, and I didn't want to go.
Got about 30 seconds. Sorry.
And anyway, one morning I woke up, and it was between sleep and awake, and I had a vision, and it showed me throwing my leg over my bicycle. And my neighbor earlier had given me a boy's bicycle. And after I totally woke up, I thought, that's it. That's what's causing the problems. And I quit riding that bike. I never rode it again, and all of those health problems went away.
I love that. We need Julia to hear that, and she just thanked me, so I bet she did. Thanks so much for that quick story. I think there you go. It proves what she was talking about. Patty, thank you for calling in. Open lines continue. Connie Willis here on Coast to Coast AM. It's Coast to Coast AM. Connie Willis here. Thanks so much. I see you guys racking up all the newsletters with ConnieWillis.com. I appreciate that. ConnieWillis.com. That's where you can find me. And thanks so much for signing up for my stuff. I really appreciate that. It's so nice. It's so nice to meet you and get the emails from you. Open lines happening right now, continuing through. We got a lot of calls on the line. Let's go to first-time caller, John. Old Mines, Missouri. I like that. Is that where you can go? You're on the air. Is that where you can go? Is there mines there by chance and gold and stuff like that, or no?
Unfortunately, no gold, but there are some mines there. It's mostly pit mining.
What kind of mining?
Pit mining.
I still didn't hear that.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah. What kind of mining?
Sorry, I'm having some phone issues. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you.
Okay.
Well, welcome to the show.
Yeah, first-time caller. So I was wondering, are you familiar with the topic of unusually large owls like 4 feet tall? And
no.
Do you have any experience or stories regarding that?
No, I've heard thunderbirds, but not big, huge 4-foot owls. No. Have you?
Yeah, I thought you had a guest one time who had mentioned that unusually large owls had been associated with UFO abductions, which I thought was interesting. So,
yeah, there are people that do talk about that. I haven't seen it myself, but a lot of people do say that they do associate it with an owl. especially 4 foot tall. It's like a little gray and then the big eyes. So some people do associate it with that. Have you seen, was it an owl or was it a gray? Or you just asked?
Unfortunately, I've never seen anything interesting, but.
So you were just checking in on the owl thing?
Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Just wanted to know if you had any experience with that.
Yeah. No, I haven't. And it does go back to, it does go back to people talking about they think they see an owl because a lot of times they don't want to see what might really be there. And so they associate it with something else, especially with the big eyes. So they go with an owl. And I think even Strieber talked about that once before. And I know some other shows have, and people have talked about that before. Me, myself, I've not done that with the owls. I can tell you at one point, though, and thanks for your call, I can tell you at one point, though, when I was out with Sasquatch Journey, a great team, a great couple, they took me to one of their areas in the Rockies, and we're there to see the Bigfoot, and we are in areas that only Sasquatch Journey can take you, and you see the signs of what you're looking for. And I'll never forget seeing the scaling Bigfoot. It went right up the mountain. And even we were having trouble, of course, going up the mountain and grabbing onto a bush or limb of some sort to pull us up at one point with the incline. But at one point, one just came out of the blue, and I had asked for it. I said, it was in the middle of the day. And I said, I just did the mind speak. I want to see you. I want to see you in the day. I want to see full body. I'm intimidated at night. I just hear you breathe and growl and grunt. I want to see you. And one of them just like blipped out of nowhere and just started scaling the mountain and going really slow at first, and then getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and taking one arm and grabbing a tree and pulling itself up, and then taking the arm on the other side and grabbing a tree and pulling itself up and just going straight up. And at one point, and the point to the story was, at one point I was looking, and it was kind of like the cartoons, if you remember when you hear I, because I'm looking at this thing and I can't believe what I'm seeing, and my whole body it's like my mind is looking for the file of what this thing is in front of me, what I'm seeing happening, even though we're there to see that. And that's our hopes. And that's what we're looking for. When you see it, your mind is still going, oh, I kid you not. One of my thoughts was, there's some man running up to this mountain. He's running to the top of the mountain. The incline was crazy, by the way. He's running up to the mountain to get his Doritos. He's got to go get his Doritos. And then another time, there's a gold mine up there. He's trying to get up there before we reach his claim. And all these things go into your mind. And then at one point, I remember even looking at both of them going, do you all see this? Do you all see this? And thinking, wait a minute, this is what we came here to see. And that thing just kept going for me, putting on a show. I know it did it. Those of you in the world of the Bigfoot, you know that they'll do things for you. And it was showing me itself. But my mind had to go through so many things before it's still freaky the whole time. We chased up to the area where it went to the top, and you could see where really high up grass was broken, and what I saw had happened. And even they had to say, Connie, no man is running up to the Doritos or the gold mine here in this area, and they're also not going that fast. And you just got to sit down and just realize, oh my goodness, what you just saw. And it's amazing, but you can get tricked. So a lot of people do relate the owls with seeing grays, and usually a lot of abductees are the ones who see what you're talking about. I've not seen the owls. If I see something like that, I see them for what they're worth. For whatever reason, they show me exactly who they are. Let's go to wildcard line number 4 and talk to Nicole out of Portland, Oregon. Oh, Portland, Oregon. That's where a lot of crazy things happen. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Yeah, a lot of creepy hot spots over here. That
Yes.
cracked me up. That story was so funny. Did you literally say out loud, I think there's a guy that's going for his Doritos?
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, everything ran through my head like that. It was like, oh, he's running up to his, because he has such determination, and yeah. And then something
Hilarious.
else runs through. You know what I mean? Do you get that?
I do, because we actually have a common friend, Mel Scahan.
Oh, I love Mel.
So yeah, listening to some of his experiences, and you guys have talked about some things on the show before, and I can't do that sound. So you did it much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm going to be a little bit defiant because you said not to call and talk to you about hypnosis, but I want to ask your opinion on something.
Okay.
And just to say about the former calls, the owls thing is a replacement dream that,
okay.
that Grays will give you.
Yeah.
Or give people, because our minds can't really, a lot of times our minds and bodies can't handle.
That's what the Bigfoot Dorito man going up to get the Doritos or the gold mine claim. Same thing.
Yeah, but that to me, that's just funny. The gold claim.
It was.
It's careful what you wish for, because it's not will you get it, it's will you want it when you get it, you know? But I'm also reminded of the song by Dolores Cannon, where they say, don't know, won't know till we know, you know? But I had an experience when I was a teenager where I saw basically a ball of fire go into the ocean, and it coincided with the first panic attack I'd ever had. I'd had anxiety before when Santa was coming, and I couldn't sleep, but I never had a full panic attack. And we were down at the coast, Oregon coast, and having a good time, and it got about sunset time, and I just started having this panic attack out of nowhere, and I was like, I want to go, and I want to go now. And my boyfriend was like, what's your problem? We're having a good time. I'm like, I don't know, but I want to go now, And then right then, it was like I was idling in a car, but it had never registered in my brain that I was vibrating and idling in that car until it just went boom and stopped.
Oh.
And then it registered. I was just vibrating, and I said, did you just feel the buzzing stop? And then I went, oh, my God. And turned my head, and right then saw the ball of fire hovering, and it hovered for a second before it went down into the ocean without making a sound. I didn't actually see it penetrate the water because there was a tree line, but behind the trees was sand and then the ocean. But it definitely went down. I'm sure of it. After that, I was really like, I want to go now. He didn't see that because he was turned the other way. But and then I was really freaking out. I was in the tent trying to sing to myself, calm myself down. I was trying to lay down, rocking myself, because it was really scary. It was really scary, just that in itself. But hindsight, it wasn't just that in itself, because after a little while, I heard these it sounded like bombs going off under the ground, 3 of them. And I'm like, put your ear down here. And then, of course, nothing. But a few minutes later, he said, let's go now. And I didn't question it, nothing. We just packed up, a couple of minutes. We were flying down the road. I'm usually the one going, slow down. And I was like, freaking step on it. Get us the hell out of here,
Yes.
And, apparently he had seen a triangular configuration of lights that was basically bouncing around the sky. And that freaked him out, At the time, he was an atheist, and he was praying to God. It was, and that
wow.
part to me is pretty funny. He was scared. We were both really scared. And the first thing we did, we drove over 100 miles an hour to the first 24-hour restaurant, because we were confused, because when we got in the car, it was like 3:30 in the morning. And there's no way we've been there that long. You know, I just cooked some soup, and the sun was just setting when I saw that fireball, and then, you know, it all started coming to me, and the realization. And so my question, to bring it back, is what do you think? Should I be regressed? Because I know this stuff has been happening to me pretty much all my life. They've taken gouges out of my legs and my arms. I mean, not just little. I have little scoop scars, like Barbie ice cream scoops. They're perfectly, you know, skin samples, whatever. But they've taken literal gouges. One night they took 3 gouges out of my one leg, and another night they burnt my hip. It looked like a cigar burn right on my hip. I'm like, what the heck? And then yet another time they burned my armpit in a circle. They do bizarre things to me that I'm sure are completely invasive, because the next day I'll always know that I was taken, because it feels like I went skiing after not skiing for 20 years, or that, you know, I had a night of love making, you know, for 20 hours or something, you know. Something like that,
you go, girl. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We call you a lifer.
Yeah. So, but my point, my question is, in your opinion, you know, having seen Fire in the Sky, I know that's dramatized for, you know, the movie purposes, but he really did have an experience, and a lot of that is true. And I was actually talking to Mel about this, to bring it back to Mel. Mel thinks I should be regressed, and he says, you know, you should know the truth. But
yeah,
part of me is just like, man, if I'm not this scared of it, not knowing, do I really want to know? You know.
Well, let me answer that to you. Thank you very much for your call. Let me go ahead and answer that while you listen outside of it. Just because the show is wrapping up here, and time flies when we're on here, and it's a lot of fun. But okay, so obviously you've been taken all your life. That's what you believe. You know, you said it's been happening to you for a long time. I like to say the word lifer, and a few of us like to say lifers, because if you're an abductee or a contactee or experiencer, that means I want it, I don't want it, I like it. There's no connotation of lifer. It just is what it is. And there's nothing you can do about it. And where you may remember some and maybe not others, but you wake up and you have these experiences where you see it physically, but you don't remember anything. Well, I think regression is a good idea, because it'll put the pieces of the puzzle together. I think Mel's right. It will open Pandora's box, but I think it sounds like you already know that you feel that's what you are. So with that being the case, you're not going to find out something you don't already know. You're just going to get specifics. So I think that would be a great idea. And I hope if you do that, let us know how it goes for you and what you learn. Because I think you'll learn a whole lot of other things, and I think you'll actually get peace from it, because you'll know what it is and it'll make sense to you. So that's one of the great things about the regression. So thank you so much for calling in and giving us that story. And hey, everybody that called in, open lines is just a wonderful thing. And it's so nice to hear these stories. I appreciate it so much. So thank you. And thank you also, Julia Cannon, for joining us. She did a great job. She texted me and said, thank you. She's just a wonderful person. And I appreciate that she gave us so much time. And I appreciate you too as well. Thanks for all the really nice emails and any of the social media stuff that you send that is nice. Thank you so much. Continue to do that. I love it. It makes me feel good. And I want to say, from the foothills of the Colorado Rockies, I want to thank a lot of people that put our show together, and we can't do it without them. And that is Julie Talbot, Bill May, Lisa Lyon, Tommy Danheiser, Dan Galani, Stephanie Smith, Mike Cosio, Lex Lonehood, Sean LeDessour, and a newbie with our web team, Jeremy Wells. Tim Banal, Gina Salvati is with us tonight on the phones, Donna Walker, Greg Foster, Ryan Stacy. Oh, no, Ryan left us just for a short time. Ryan, you were great while you were here. Chris Burrows, Ian Punnett, Lisa Garr, Richard Searett, George Knapp, and of course, the man, the emperor of radio, nighttime radio, to me, across the board, George Norrie and the entire Coast to Coast team. George Norrie, thank you so much for letting me be a part of the team and get to enjoy all these shows. I'm not going to be back till about, I guess, Christmas Eve. Connie Claus is going to make her appearance on Christmas Day. And I also want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. I really do. I hope you have a good one. Hey, it's time to make a turkey, right? And some gravy and giblet gravy. Make sure giblet gravy's on the list because that is some delicious stuff. So until we meet again, I hope you join me on my show, Blue Rock Talk, Connie After Dark. Just go to ConnieWillis.com. In the meantime, keep watching the night skies and continue with me to seek out the strange and uncover the unknown. For Coast to Coast AM, I'm Connie Willis. Good night. Good day.